All right, hello everybody, and thank you for tuning in once again to the Black Box Podcast, BBOR Black Box Online Radio. We had a nice comment from somebody on one of the YouTube uploads. Someone was asking if this podcast is available on iTunes, and as of now, no, this is just a YouTube upload, and that's going to be it for sort of the foreseeable future, but who knows if this keeps on going. Today we're going to be talking all about Amanda Knox, and really sort of one very specific issue. And if you're not familiar with the Amanda Knox case in detail, there are some very good documentaries all on YouTube about it. There are also some very nice things on debate forums. I believe it was just called debate.com, had a very nice presentation, people arguing for and against, like arguing for innocence to be precise, and against would be someone who thought that she was guilty, of course, of the murder of her roommate Meredith Kircher. And this is a case that is almost now turned into a slam dunk. Very, very few people would be saying that she was guilty. And I think that's a very good thing. They're sort of clearing her of any wrongdoing and mostly just sort of saying that she is an innocent woman in the murder of Meredith Kircher back in Italy. Now, one thing that I really just thought that really just stood out to this case is something that I encountered while I was reading the Amanda Knox memoir, Waiting to be Heard. And it's almost sort of shameful that something like this could happen in the 21st century, where the investigators, the journalists, all of the people around could not escape their perversions in the Amanda Knox case. They could not get over their infatuation with sexuality. And I think that really tampered with the investigation. I think it hindered the investigation. And, yes, we are all human, but they tried to turn the whole thing into the story of a giant sex ring, and I believe that was done originally by an Italian journalist to try and sort of make it look like there was some sort of weird sex ring going along with Amanda Knox as the ringleader, and it sounds kind of far-fetched when you just sort of say it out like that, but that's what people were believing at the time. There's a very particular line in the memoir, Waiting to be Heard, where Amanda Knox is writing about how her roommate was found dead, and the police investigators come to the scene, and they start, investigating the place where they live, of course. And they encounter a bottle of Vaseline, and then they begin to start asking her questions. Did your roommate enjoy anal sex? Did she ever try it anal? And it's just sort of, yes, okay, you might have been dealing with a beautiful woman, but somebody had just died, and the investigators are immediately just trying to get, sexual information, they're trying to get off on something, it's just, and I think that was just the thing that was going on with the whole case. It was just people could not escape their own perversions, and we really have to be always aware of this when we're sort of investigating the crimes that are associated with, women and perhaps even men to some extent, but people are often always trying to go for something superficial. They're trying to make it about gender. They're trying to make it about sexuality. And there is really just sort of some uncalled for things that happened in the Amanda Knox case, such as, the previously mentioned things associated with sexuality. But on that same note, I will say that we are all human. And, while reading Amanda Knox's book, Waiting to be Heard, she talks about meeting her boyfriend, the famous one who was, with her in all the photos following the death of Meredith Kircher, and Raffaello, I guess is his name. And while she met him, they were only together for about a week, but he was her alibi during the night that Meredith Kircher was killed. And when she writes in her book about how she met him at, a theater, and even later that same night, she ended up going back to his house and having intercourse with him. And as you read that, something like a very uncomfortable feeling comes over you. And I'm saying that talking about myself only, is sort of this jealous and envious feeling that just comes over you about how this beautiful woman is just, having intercourse with a man so easily. And, we are all human, and that is one thing that we have to accept. But the other thing that we don't have to accept is it should not be tampering with an investigation. It should not be holding back the, course of events. We do have these sort of feelings, and probably every single person does to some extent. And, looking back, I mean, it's a very just weird feeling. Like, why would you be jealous of some guy on the other side of the world, years ago, just because he had sex with a girl very easily? He had an easy hookup. I don't know, but that's the feeling that you get while reading her book. And, like, it's really like, though, investigators are not just somebody reading a book, though. They are professionals who are supposed to be solving a crime, who are supposed to be doing a lot of serious, hard police work, hard forensics work, and that really did not happen in the Amanda Knox case. That's the short story of it. It did not happen, and again, that's very shameful. That's very saddening, and I think that says a lot about the police system in Italy, and they were really behind the times on a lot of things, and one of the biggest pieces of evidence was that they found Meredith Kircher's blood on a knife that was in Raffaello's apartment, but 3 American laboratories using state-of-the-art equipment could not extract any form of DNA from a sample as small as the one that was found. I will repeat that. 3 American laboratories using state-of-the-art equipment could not, obtain DNA from just a small sample that was found, the residue that was left on a knife. In short, they believe the Italian laboratories fabricated their results to not lose face. And again, that is something else that should not happen. So we do have the infatuation with sexuality, and we also have, the sort of age-old tradition of just not losing face, not being able to admit that something is impossible, falsifying results to make yourself look better. And that was what Amanda Knox was dealing with during the entire time, and like I said, it's pretty much open and shut now. Very few people are going to be believing that she was actually involved with the murder, and, it's sad, but it's also things that we should look out in every future true crime case. Look out for people that are trying to just use their infatuation with sexuality to try and use that to affect the investigation. And I see this with a lot of cases, maybe the Elisa Lam case, maybe the Maura Murray case, where people are really getting very, very caught up in the persona of, this beautiful woman that encountered a very serious tragedy. And they're trying to sort of project their own sexual feelings onto the case. And that's kind of sad. That's kind of sad in a way, but, it's, Amanda Knox, was somebody who did get, out of prison. She didn't spend the rest of her life in jail like some people who go accused of these things. And anyway, kind of a short upload today, but that's all we got to say. And if you haven't read it yet, check out Amanda Knox's book, Waiting to be Heard. It's her memoir of the case. All right, that's all, and I will talk to you guys later.